The price of freedom is steep. Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your honor. Act soldier!
I would be lost, drifting along, floating up high, time after time, and there you'd be, shining brightly, your smiling face to guide my and blind, do everything. Realized, had I thought it through, would you be here in my embrace? Shine bright, once more, guide me. To feel, hear me. This time, for sure.
everybody doing? Did you guys have a good holiday? How's everybody's holiday? Fun Cody. Okay, let's see what is this. We can turn this down. That's Fuzz Pixels, by the way. Who makes some pretty cool stuff on YouTube. Let me stop it though. Let me find actually we don't need background music. How's everybody doing? What's everybody up to? Fun Cody. Fun Cody. How are you? Tiger Chick. Ars Somnia. Coach Cot 1990. Believe it or not, still playing for Soldier. Well, I mean, don't got much time left, right? So better enjoy it while you can. Kind of sad. 12 or 13 days. Oh man. I know a couple of people kind of like put their eggs in that basket, you know, in terms of content creation. And I feel real bad for them. And Chocobo GP too. Chocobo GP shut down service. Pretty wild. Pretty wild indeed. People might notice my Final Fantasy 7 shirt. It was a gift. And don't worry too hard about it if you can't see it. It's a very confusing shirt. It picks 9/11 on it. But hey, you know, I don't know. What are you gonna do? Yeah. it wasn't a Christmas gift. I've had it for a while. But I did get some Final Fantasy 7 related Christmas gifts. I got a couple of sweet Christmas tree ornaments. Pretty excited about that. What else? Let's see. Well, I mean, we can talk about the fact that there's a little bit of like year-end news from Kitase, who basically in several sources confirm the same thing, because it's sort of a tradition of a lot of the Japanese games sites and gaming publications to get like a year in review from major Japanese developer personalities like Kitase or, you know, Kojima. And what Kitase basically said is that, you know, they're going to be continuing to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, with 7 total campaigns. Genki sort of pointed out that 3 have come and gone, and that is official, by the way. When the news first dropped, people were like, "What 7 campaigns? There's 7 things happening out, 7 games coming out this year." No, the 25th anniversary website has actually been really clear about this for a while. We're 3 campaigns in, Like Cloud's birthday was a campaign, you know. So it'll just be little things like that, but some of them will probably be heavier than others. And I do somewhat kind of expect something of like interest to occur on the 31st of January. Also, haven't finished CCR, but I have a ridiculous amount of theories. Okay. I saw in that article that it said Rebirth is coming winter 2023. Is that official, or is next winter still all we have? Um, we don't have an official date. We cannot confirm it'll be coming out before January 1st, 2024. But it will be so close to winter. I feel like we're not going to mince between January and December, you know. But I actually think that they might shoot for early winter. But here's my guess, my semi-informed guess. The game will be done by late summer, and then it'll be um, in the mastery phase and the testing phase, and then they will decide what part of winter suits them from a marketing perspective. So it really depends on what else is getting released and if they're competing directly with anything in that window. I can almost guarantee that. I can also venture a guess that they're probably pretty well into development for part 3 as well. And I think we'll get more information within the next, I'll say, 35 days. You're brand new to the FF7 fandom, but FF15 was your first Final Fantasy? Well, that's cool. I have I have a lot of feelings about Final Fantasy 15, but I still most of my memories are very favorable. Um, I was I was in a generation that like knew it as Versus 13, and Final Fantasy Versus 13 was the thing I was most excited for like 10 years. And then when it finally came out as 15, I had a lot of feelings about it. I still think it was a really excellent game, and certainly if I didn't have any of the context that I did, probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. Um, what kind of theories do you have, Nori Hicks? Like, what's your favorite theory? Wow, these hold on. I just noticed how bad my follower thing is lined up. It might not be updating. Oh yeah, I gotta do the thing where I update it. Okay, we're almost there, guys. And then let's see another news. There's a new Artnia 10th anniversary picture that Nomura drew. It's blurry, we can't make it out yet, but it's probably Zack, Jack, and Brain from Kingdom Hearts. And that's exciting. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna pull that up as soon as I have my act together here. Did Genkai tweet that? Oh no, Square Enix official did. Okay. Let's go over to that. Let's switch over to nonsense chat, guys. Ignore that music. It's trash music. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, this is a cool piece. It's blurry on purpose, but I think this is Nomura. Actually, I don't know. Oh yeah, I received a celebratory colored paper from Nomura. I don't see any color on this, but I don't know. Could be a weird translation thing. But this is most likely Jack. This is Zack. And then this is Brain. So that's exciting. Artney is a cafe. It's like the Square Enix cafe. I want to go there. It's on my bucket list. KH4 cameo. Yeah, I think Jack will end up in KH4 for sure. Coach Cott, the definition of color has changed. Yeah, I mean, like the paper is like it's an off-white, so that's the color. It's like taupe paper and then black ink, so colored paper. You know what I mean? Yeah, with as busy as Nomura is, that he like this is all that we see of Nomura. Is like he says things over as a disconnected voice, like a disembodied head. They make jokes that they call him the voice of God in all of the presentations he speaks in, and then he just like sends artwork. I don't think he leaves his house. I think he just like I can't even prove that he's human at this point, like that he hasn't just like we should give him a Turing test. Like if anybody here is at the next, you know, like in person at the next like voice of God thing that Nomura does, like just give him one of those little captchas and see if there's an audio captcha. Yeah, I have been to Japan. I lived there for a couple of years, actually. Fun, Cody. I lived there in 1999 and 2000. And a little bit of 2001. I think it's mostly the same. I think there are things that are obviously different now, 22 years later, but a lot of the same stuff for sure. Let's see, a lot of smoking. You want to go in 2023? People are going back, like kind of a thing that's happening. Okay. Depending upon what occurs with FF7 in the first few months of the year, I wager he'll next speak at the KH Second Breath Orchestra event. Okay, well let's get somebody there to throw a captcha at him. You guys Say hi to Charles. Hi, Charles. Are you gonna help me? What do you want to do? You want to be real annoying? Charles! Let's see. Anybody get anything Final Fantasy 7 related for Christmas? And then we may launch this video game. We may have to. What do you think? Oh, really? Since we're talking about Nomura's workflow, does anyone know what SE has Ito doing these days? Is he just trapped in some basement at the company somewhere? I mean, I don't know. I would imagine he's actively working on a project that maybe just hasn't been announced yet. Um uh It feels like I saw him tweet something recently too.
Let's dance, asshole.
Subtext. Hey, did you have a good holiday? I had a great holiday. How was your holiday? Um well, he still actively works for Square Enix though. So a lot of times it's like hard to, yeah, sometimes what'll happen um is that people will get disconnected from like direct projects. Like he may have a bigger credit in 16 than we know about. I mean, if you think about it, that's not impossible, given how ambitious 16 has been, um and you know I don't know, he could be have some form of supervisory role in that. uh did he have any director credits last year? Yeah, let's look him up. Hiroyuki Ito. Let's see. Uh, Dungeon Encounters last year. Wow. Uh, yeah, I see your point. See your point. Yeah, and he wasn't involved with Tactics Ogre at all, was he? I don't think so. I think Tactics Ogre was pretty. I think Reborn and Reunion were both like basically done by third party companies. Okay, I'm gonna let my cat out real quick. Then we'll play Crisis Core Reunion. Hey, come on, Charles. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, Master Modder Ninja Grime uh, has graced me with a mod, and I think he may even have it ready for distribution. Yes, he just released this on Nexus mods too. Hi, Lightning Magna. Let me post a link. In the Twitchy chats. Hi, Charles. Okay. Okay, let's switch gears here. So let's check out the game. Now, there are actually weirdnesses with the mods. Definitely not the OG voice mod thing. I'm not as attached to that as other people. I know people have concept ideas and stuff about that. Okay, so this I've been testing this mod out for him, and he finally released it publicly. But hi, Charles. Okay, I'm just going to ignore. We'll start fresh with it too. Okay. Now I'm going to skip cutscenes, or the pre-renders, just because I want to show off the actual mod. Now the thing with modding Zack is there's actually 5 models you have to mod.
Zack speaking.
Making progress, Zack?
Angeal, what's going on?
Looks
Why
good,
are we
huh?
fighting Shinra troops?
They're Wu-Tai troops in disguise. Now, head to the open area above.
You mean
Ninja
towards
grind.
Sector 8?
Yes. But first, you're gonna have to clear a path.
Clear a path?
You'll see what I mean. Be careful.
So, and
So I can cut loose, right?
he put this together really quick too, considering. But
It's
there's a
showtime.
ton of little details that are great about this.
Activating combat mode.
And I have to get out of as you can tell, there's no cloak because Zack doesn't need a cloak, and because cloak physics are impossible. No, I think it'll be a while, right, Ninja, before we get cloak physics.
Conflict resolved.
Like, it's just a
Oh,
big
yeah.
ball of fuck.
Not too bad.
Piece of cake. I'll make first and
There's both a ribbon variant
stairs
and a
at the end of the
sleeved
platform.
variant. And they come pre-baked into the mod.
You got it.
But even updated the portraits. The menu portraits. Or I guess they're called billboards. Yeah, the ribbon is cool with the Aerith connection. I like both. I prefer this a little bit. It feels like it fits Zack more.
Activating combat mode.
And also there's some fun details that we can go over with free cam.
Showing your back to the enemy. Overconfidence will destroy you.
And this is something that they did too, a lot of, which is annoying, is they
What is this?
pre-rendered in-engine sequences.
Damn it. You're not the only hero.
It's over.
And they did that in the original too for space reasons. But they really didn't have a reason to do it in this. In Reunion, but they really faithfully remastered this game. Like including the design elements that didn't have like utility. Like I've pointed out on previous streams, the like off-camera dinosaur bones in Gongaga, those are just directly lifted from the original.
Thanks, Angeal.
I know, FMVs. Mod the conflict resolve voice to Ultron or Jarvis. Lightning Magna, welcome in. Also, you do it. You can do it, right? What are your thoughts on the 7 announcements? Been flying around since the Tweetosphere today.
Training's over.
I mean, it's actually not big of a deal. Like, I do think it's like, I think we'll see significant
serious?
news. Charles, I'm trying to talk.
I was just getting
we'll
warmed
see
up.
significant news within 40 days, around the 31st of January. But the Rebirth site, or
Zach.
the 25th anniversary site for Crisis Core, or I'm not Crisis Core. I'm
Embrace
sorry,
your
this
dreams.
cat got way in my head. Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary site has campaigns
If you
as they
want to
come
be a
out.
hero, you need
It's
to
the
have
Japanese
dreams
only site.
and honor.
I'll get to the point where we can show off the no. Yes. Don't get us too excited. I mean, any update at this point is significant because it feels like it's been a while and this was such a faithful remaster. I like your game. Come here.
Hey, Zach. You seem a little on edge.
Can you blame me?
Yeah.
All this training and no assignments. Like they're hanging me out to dry. You must be pretty busy with everyone off base.
Off base? Wait, haven't you heard? There's been a mass desertion at Soldier.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. What do you want? Now? Yeah? Hi guys. Sorry, Charles is in a mood today. Okay.
One of the firsts has deserted. Took a bunch of seconds and thirds with him. All from Wutai.
Twitter's
Motive, goal? All a mystery right now.
Twitter's
This mass
experiencing major
soldier
problems, Peter.
desertion is why your training's on hold.
It's being
Whoa. A
weird.
first.
Zack, you're up.
Yeah, finally.
Angeal
Time for some
sword.
real action.
So, in an early
Yes.
variant of this
It'll
mod,
be your show.
Yes.
in the
Report to
beta
Director
of this
Lazard.
mod,
There'll be a briefing.
Angeal's sword went super funky.
Zack, it's good to finally meet face to face. Lazard, Director of Soldier.
Ignore the hair clipping.
On to business.
The sword is usually there to hide that, but
Soldier First Class Genesis. A month ago, he went missing during a mission in Wutai. Know anything about this?
here, let's look at these screens to make sure that it doesn't show. There used to be like these a picture of two faces for the missing soldiers, but they just like disappeared. They didn't remaster that well. They blew it.
Not a clue.
The mission is currently stuck in limbo.
It's all Genesis.
That's
all
why
day.
we've decided to send you.
To Wutai?
Yes. This war has gone on long
You're
enough.
jonesing to play
I've
it.
recommended you for first.
Oh, Angeal! I love you, man! Angeal!
Don't make me regret this, Zack.
Sir,
Once you're packed, you'll leave at once. After entering Wutai, we go straight to work.
All right.
If you have any questions about missions and combat, he can help you.
Hey, Zack. Anything you want to know? Just ask. First, we should really go over combat. You probably got a
Nah.
handle on it in training, but I sent you a mail. Take a look.
No. Okay. We're skipping this. Wait. So look at that. Look at that. This is excellent work. This looks so clean. Great job, Ninja Grime. Who's in chat, by the way? I left off after meeting Aerith and I feel so far behind everyone else. Bro. Well, I was gonna go look at Junon next. But well, actually, let's see. I want to look at the other portrait. So let's do the end of. Let's do the beginning of chapter 5.
come on, pick up.
Who are you calling?
Sephiroth.
Your mom.
I just can't seem to get a hold of him.
Oh, haven't you heard? Word is, Sephiroth has shut himself inside the data room. In the data room, communication devices are strictly prohibited. It's no wonder you can't reach him.
The data room?
Apparently, he's
where the data
researching the
battles
history
are.
of the Shinra Science Department.
Oh. Aerith, what's up?
Question. When are you going to make it for me?
Make what?
Typical
No.
The
Zack.
flower wagon. You forgot?
No, of course I didn't. Hold on, I'm coming.
Okay. And then there's this portrait. You see, because there's 3 portraits for the different phases in Zack's short life. You know? Soon to be much longer thanks to Rebirth. That looks great. Good job, Ninja Grime. Okay. Did you want to see? You want to see the outside of? So this texture right here, by the way, this is straight up a remake texture. They just reused it. The skybox. Rebirth is going to be insane, I know. Alright, we're going to go... Okay, we're going to do Junon, because I do want to do some free camp through Junon. Because there's actually a whole bunch of fun details in Junon. Junon's one of my favorite chapters, too.
Project G was Angeal's mother's experiment. I apprehended Hollander in Modeoheim and turned him over to the company. After that, the company put me on standby. That was a while ago. Shinra is in disarray. The Turks are hanging around me every day. They say our vacations overlapped coincidentally. Yeah, right. But none of them ever mention Angeal or Genesis. Not a whisper. Almost as if they never existed. Is that how little Soldier is worth? What exactly
Junon is
do I
high
have
on my
left
list.
to fight for? What is Soldier honor?
This is definitely new dialogue, no? Not actually. I mean, it's new spoken dialogue. But it was a subtitled intro in the OG CC.
Suntan lotion?
No! Never mind that. What is this? Are they putting me out to pasture?
You could use some R&R.
I'm bored. That's it? I'm calling them.
Director Lazard's not in. He's
I
been
don't
missing
think
for
you
a
need to
while
change
now.
this outfit.
It was Lazard who was funding
Yeah.
Hollander's research. Using the company's money.
I'm wondering how we're
serious?
gonna make this work for
You're
Cloud.
interrogating Hollander.
Because
so we should
that's,
learn more
I really
soon.
would like, the Cloud mod
What's
does
wrong
exist,
with
but
them?
it's not an Advent Children Cloud mod, obviously.
People.
But
What
until
are they all
Narcdon
thinking?
fixes the face
The
thing,
truth
not sure if anybody's
lies within
seen
each person.
footage,
But
but
even truth seems suspect once it leaves their mouths.
here, let's look
Cisne,
at some
go
details.
do something.
Here, go do something. Costa del Sol is one of them. Junon for sure, though, because there's new Junon lore. Specifically, there's this thing called the Republic of Junon now, which was the nation in power that prior to Shinra sort of toppling the Republic. It didn't topple it. It just the implication is just that Shinra is essentially, you know, bought the government by just being more significant and powerful. But we can go look through So we got surfing and suntan. And believe me, guys, I looked for Stamp here. But they got the suite. I mean, like, this is very faithful even to the OG. You know, the little truck with the Big Macs. And the soda. Bar del Sol. And then this is the future Casa del Cloud. You can buy this place right here. Looks great on the inside. Okay. You get it. It looks fine. Costa del Sol is another one. Junon, though, I think will have a lot of lore.
How do you know that? Am I being watched?
No, she's the one being watched.
Huh?
That girl is an ancient. The only one left.
What
in
if
the
Stamp
world.
was only created during the 4 to 5 year time skip?
Never said anything.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why that seems
only
implausible,
left in the
based
world,
on the
huh?
placement of Stamp throughout the
She is one of a kind.
remake map. Like,
Heads up!
some of the
Genesis copies.
some of the stamps seem like they should be really old. There's a Stamp magazine in Aerith's room, for instance, and that room is supposed to be left untouched by presidential order for 15 years. Some of them look really old and worn. There's like movies that have sequels. Also, let's see. There is an indication that
These guys are still
Stamp
around?
is Marlene's
Genesis.
favorite
Genesis
cartoon
may be around too.
in,
Huh?
When the soul leaves the body,
you know,
it
like a
returns to the
year
life
prior
stream.
to
Yeah. And?
to this
A river
events
of
of
soul
remake.
circles the planet.
But I guess it could be
Perhaps
new,
Genesis's
you know, like
soul
it
is
could be sort of a
also
thing that they didn't think all the way through.
Controlling copies from the live stream?
But we
Is that what
actually
you're
got
saying?
like this weird thing from
Just a
Toriyama on the
supposition.
subject.
In any case,
During
your
the
vacation's over.
retrospectives for Final Fantasy VII, where you go
Come with
where
me. Junon is under attack by
Sunil,
an unknown force.
Godhania, and one of the Square Enix Japanese blog runners put together lists of questions for each chapter, and they went on a chapter by chapter run for chapter 5, which is, you know, the one where Stamp is
Genesis
introduced
copies again.
as a
They're just
concept.
running wild.
They asked
Activating combat
they asked
mode.
Toriyama about Stamp, and what he said is that it was actually drawn by or chosen by Palmer after funding was cut to the space program, which is a really weird detail. So based on the timelines that, you know, that are available, that's a range of like 10 years that could be in. But it is certainly earlier than 15 years. And so it's likely they just didn't totally think it all the way through. Like Stamp appears in the first Soldier, which, yeah, like shouldn't matter because the first Soldier is garbage canonically. Not that it's a garbage game, but like in terms of its lore and canon stuff, it's just a gacha game. Like it's not to be taken seriously. But that being said, I think the reason Stamp doesn't appear anywhere in this game is just because they remastered the game like really, really accurately, and because like Stamp is literally a timestamp. Like that's the kind of role, is to be an indicator of what continuity we're in or why, and any clue on that might give away too much, and I think they're really wanting to avoid that.
Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Here's the final variant of the model.
Hollander
Or
is in
one of the
now.
final ones.
His presence can't
There's
be
the
a
dirty
coincidence.
model at the end too. But this is after he changed the
It's
hair.
not over yet, is it?
We'll evacuate the residence. You work on securing Hollander.
I'm securing Hollander? Don't you need me on the battlefield?
Hollander has top secret information. The president says he's priority
But
one.
what's interesting
With
is
Director Lazard
why
absent,
that has to do with
soldiers'
the
chain of
space
command
program.
is shaky at best.
Like,
These attackers exploited that weakness.
if the
Zack,
dog
you're
breed
the
that
only one who can
Palmer
move freely.
chose is
You must
predicated
secure Hollander.
upon something that happens
Hollander is
with
being
the
held
space
at the 8th
program.
level detention center in Upper Junon. Use the emergency
Like,
elevator
he
to go
chooses
up.
the
It's at the end of
the
this
terrier if
path. Zack,
it doesn't get
we need
canceled.
this.
Like, it means
still
that
being
space is
interrogated.
probably
Can't fall into enemy
end
hands.
game for
Okay,
Sephiroth, which
I'll
is
go.
something a lot of people have speculated on, that he wants to sort of do something akin to what Omega Weapon does. And here's the third one. Look at that little smile. Yet Ninja Grime had to painfully reproduce these shots in Blender to make them fit right. He did a great job. Okay. Junon.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Also, what's Shinra oil? What are they doing? Why is there a Shinra oil? They're supposed to be using the souls of the dead, not oil. Is the free cam mod that works in good? Yeah, Shinra oil was a remix. It was actually in the original Crisis Core too. And it's that same logo. It's an octagon. And you know how we look for octagons in Final Fantasy VII lore. Tessellating, etc.
Oh yeah!
Is there anything in here? Just a dresser. Here's clear icicle machines. Now, in a lot of the clear icicle posters, by the way, in Remake, in the upper right hand corner, you can barely make that out. In the upper right hand corner, there is a Beagle stamp. But none of the vending machines technically have the Beagle stamp on them. So, you know, when they did import textures from Remake, instead of just rebuilding ones they had, they were careful not to choose any that had stamp. But we know for a fact that in this game, we are in locations at times that should theoretically have stamp as a mascot. No matter when it is, when we wake up after the Nibelheim incident, like there should be stamps everywhere, you know. There should be a stamp at the last stand, but there isn't one. You know?
Gotta love this!
Conflict resolved.
This mod is so cool,
Hollander has
Ninja
escaped.
Grime.
What? They already hit us upstairs?
No, but security was spread thin after the attack, and he used that opportunity to
They really
escape.
went through all the
He
textures
escaped?
to scrap that
On
out.
his own?
I thought so
Yes.
too. I thought
It's
they had
as if he
made
knew
a
an attack was about to
conscious
occur.
choice, but then I realized that the
possible he
clear
received some
icicle
outside help.
vending machines did not have
Where is he? Are there any leads?
Cameras
the
in the
stamp.
6th level
So they
of
just
Upper
chose
Junon have a
not to
positive ID
use
on Hollander. We're
anything
on the
that might
6th level of
accidentally
Lower
have
Junon, so
a
he should be
stamp.
somewhere up ahead. To go to Upper Junon, go through the central passageway gate and go straight.
But it wouldn't have been
Press
hard
the
for them to
switch
do that,
operate the gate.
so they made a choice to not do that.
All right. You look after the wounded.
Sir!
As for Hollander, leave him to me.
And I know a lot of people were really disappointed too. Melinda Wax. You gotta get the game on PC. Yeah, it's the way to go.
Activating combat
Heads
mode.
up! Take that!
Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
But like these posters, like the beat poster.
Hollander!
Hollander!
You won't get away!
You just throw your sword at him.
Come on, man! Stop pestering me!
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, but like this beat poster and the Midgar Smash Hit musical. Both from Remake. This Chocobo show. But they did take the actual dates out of the Chocobo show. In Remake, it says like when they happen. And it's some nonsense date. Come on, man. Yeah, exactly, Major Graham. You're currently grinding away at missions and oh boy, has it been tedious. Yeah, man, they're tedious. Like, this was definitely a PSP game. You know, like, the missions were there as like a thing that you could just do when you picked up the game. But I found myself just hugging the walls. You can just avoid random encounters to hug the walls.
Hey, stop!
Hey, take care, Ninja Grime. Great work. Yeah, absolutely. I'll always showcase it. Your stuff. You've never had a miss. And pretty soon we'll get the Advent Children Cloud mod into this. So we can play with the real protagonist. Kino Tubbs!
Yeah.
How you
Just you
doing?
wait, Hollander.
Activating combat mode.
Are there any posters or ads in Reunion that are not in the OG Crisis Core or in Remake? Technically, but not in the way that you're asking. Like, there are posters that are like a mixture. Like the Loveless poster, for instance, has the Loveless aesthetic, the Loveless poster aesthetic from Loveless Street and Remake, but it's got the dates and the folder, the sign structure
and make this a place of
from
refuge.
Crisis Core. So there's stuff like
Making
that where they
progress,
like
huh? As for me, I still haven't secured Hollander.
where they like
Gotta move.
mix
Yes,
it to
understood.
make it make sense, you know. There are certainly signs for stuff that are only in Crisis Core that are not in Remake, though.
First an assault on Midgar, and now there's trouble in Junon? I have to say, this hasn't been a good year for Shinra.
Yeah, it's been rough, huh?
I'll rendezvous with Cisne and continue the evacuation. You keep pursuing Hollander.
Gotta be honest, man, the music is so extra.
You there.
Like, I
Have
get
you
it
any idea what
for a
Junon's annual
PSP
budget
game,
is
but
like right now? We're in the red as it is. Get rid of these monsters at once.
the music just stays at this consistent volume and energy level that is not dependent on any of the things that are happening in the game.
Wow, it's a spectacle!
Huh?
That's why I really like the dynamic
Are they
music
shooting a movie or
design
something?
and remake.
First an assault on Midgar, and now there's...
Alright.
You know, I just saw Cisne heading to the 8th level of Upper Junon.
Oh. What's up, weird
Mr.
child?
Soldier, please do something!
Alright. I will.
That grunt there, he got air sick.
Oh no.
Man, as if we don't have enough problems already.
You know what? Relax, dude. How dare you talk to my cloud that way? Alright. Twitch notifications, Dad?
You okay?
Yeah. I got sick on the helicopter.
Wow.
What? Cloud?
Zack, you remembered.
Well, of course. Good to be working with you again, man.
Yeah. Although my job is kind of dull.
Don't say that. Search and rescue is very important work. Hey, why don't we grab a bite to eat after you're done? My treat.
Really?
Look at
That
him
would
light
be
up.
great. So, once I'm feeling better, I'll go. Because right now, just thinking of food makes me... Sorry, Zack.
His hair actually looks really
My
good
bad. Don't sweat it. Well, hope you feel better soon.
in the as a model.
I'm sorry, Zack. I don't think I can make it. I'm just not good with vehicles. I'm sorry, Zack. I don't think I can make it.
And
I'm
anybody
just
that's played
not
the
good
OG knows that
vehicles.
after his sequence in the live stream detangling his true persona, he regains his motion sickness. So this is a cool nod to that. Yeah, Cloud's voice acting is
That way is
just
the
universally
airbase. He's trying to
praised,
get
I
away by
think.
air? No way.
A lot of the people that, you know, a lot of the Operation Reunion folks even are like, yeah, we just want Newburn.
I wonder what happens to Junon if you can't stop them.
Hollander is so goofy.
Ah, damn it. He's destroying the gate to attack the civilians. Hollander, once I catch you, I'll deck you good.
The perimeter.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
The end.
Activating combat mode.
Out of the way. Taking you down a peg. That's enough. Bye now. This is gonna sting.
Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah.
Actually, this save too that I'm on, I don't have max proficiency yet, but I have maxed attack and ability proficiency. So if you'll notice, like I can only gain proficiency by taking damage while in
This'll do.
any attack phase.
Conflict resolved.
The Buster Sword proficiency thing is, it's kind of a mess.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
But it does actually make, if you max out proficiency and get all 4 of the
Activating
abilities,
combat mode.
it does like really help in the fight against Minerva and Hard.
Conflict resolved.
Because you need Barrier Break and Barrier Pierce. Unless you want to cheese the fight with
Activating combat mode.
Gale and SP Master.
Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah!
Activating combat mode.
Sorry, I'm changing this in stream setting.
Conflict resolved.
Get back here.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Baby
Oh,
Seal.
yeah.
Should I tell you my new Twitter? What happened to your old Twitter? Did you make a new Twitter account? Did you get banned, Peter? It's hard to get banned on Twitter now.
Activating combat mode.
What happened? I don't want to know, actually.
Conflict resolved.
Tell me
Oh, yeah.
later, I guess.
All right, that's all of them.
Oh, you got
Hollander,
scammed.
You'll pay for this.
Here's a little easy to miss side quest up here. Yeah, Twitter's been kind of broken, so I would just try and log back
Zach.
into your account
What's up? Where's Hollander?
once it's fixed.
I was a little worried about you, but I guess you have things under control. Nice work, Cisne, and fast too. You'll make Turk supervisor in no time.
Well, we'll see.
It's a compliment. Just accept it. Once you're promoted, I'll throw you a party.
Twitter has been musked. Yeah.
I've never even thought of
Ugh.
being celebrated by someone.
Huh?
I was raised to believe that initially,
I'm ready for
everyone I
that
need is an
phase
enemy.
of Twitter history to just be
But
behind us,
I recently stopped believing
by
that,
the way.
thanks to my Turks colleagues.
Hey, Cisne. What did you do before you joined the Turks? You're like the youngest Turk I've met.
I was in training for a long time. Then I joined the Turks right after. Now, enough chit-chat.
See, like, the Turks are
It's about
child
time we get
soldiers
back to
too.
work.
You
Hey,
know?
hold on, Cisne.
If you keep slacking off, you're going to disappoint your fans.
Fans? Of me?
Look into it when you're back in Midgar. Apparently, there's a whole lot of people cheering for you.
My fans, huh? I wonder what they're like.
See, that's one of those lines that's like textbook Zack feeling. Like, I think Caleb does a good job right there. I wonder wonder what they're like. All this extra treasure, this extra useless treasure. I mean, look, what are you gonna do, right? You know? Not like we can make our own Twitter. So we're just kind of stuck. He went real wild last night too. Saw the stocks tanking. It's like, man, you don't have to say stuff. Just like these people with the Last of Us movie or Last of Us HBO series, like the showrunner could just like be quiet. That would be so good for him. I feel like every day he wakes up and is like, how can I derail the success of my show that's a guaranteed slam dunk if I just say nothing? And then he says that. Still feel like we're robbed of a compelling Turk Vincent game, which we could have got instead of DLC. Yeah, I mean the Before Crisis was really like maybe the best game narratively in the compilation, and it was surrounding the Turks, but it is 100% inaccessible, and the only way that we're going to be able to access it will not be in a pure form. It'll be through Ever Crisis, and I don't see that changing ever. Okay, let's look at this map. Now this is really cool. This is the airfield. So we get to see some airships. First we see this Shinra airship that's like proto Highland. It's obviously not the actual Highland, but it's just cool to see, you know, airships. Like, I'm excited for airships. And then we got these guys. These guys look familiar. They look like the Gelnica. Which, by the way, I hope they fix the name of that to the Guernica, which makes a lot more sense because it's an actual thing mythologically. But I'm not sure if they'll change it. They fixed Aerith, so that was back in Crisis Core. The Zolam too. I hope they either fix that to Midgar Sormer or something to indicate what it is. I'm sorry, this is so slow. I can make it go. Okay, I use both the controller and the keyboard. It goes at double speed, and we can look at these babies. Watch, there's a stamp in the cockpit. Pre-cam mod is pretty sweet. I'm just interested. I'm excited to see like vehicles in general in Junon. It looks cool. This is cool. This is a great shot overall too. I also like that you get an idea of the kind of cliff that it's built into. The way Junon is built is interesting. And this, I mean, there's indication that this was maybe like the former capital of the Republic. And so that's neat. Airship looks way cooler than the airship in the FS military base. Yeah. I was really looking forward to possibly getting into the closed beta this year.
Now we've got scorpion
but
types?
I think the wait might
Hollander's
still be
too
worth
well
it.
connected.
Activating combat
Yeah,
mode.
I'm excited for Ever Crisis too. I'm like... I'm worried how they're gonna do the beta.
Heads up! Gonna love this! Taking you down a peg! This is gonna sting! How about this? Oh no you don't!
Conflict resolved.
I wish it
Hollander's
wasn't a
that
gotcha.
way, right?
Yeah.
I really have to
Me
get
too.
serious now.
But I think it'll end up being, you know, like kind of a more
That's far
free to
enough.
play gotcha. You know, like
Really?
Dissidia is a
You
great
sure?
great example. Like you really can
Hey!
get through the story content of that
What is he?
without dropping a dime.
Should have known.
Mission failed.
Yeah.
This goes on your permanent record.
Huh? Sephiroth? Long time no see.
Let the Turks take care of the rest. I was on my way to Modeoheim, but I heard you were in the area.
Lucky me.
The situation has not resolved. Genesis copies have been sighted around the world.
That can't be. We wiped out those Genesis copies.
Did Genesis really die?
No body, no death. That's why Wedge is
They've
still
been sighted
alive.
in Midgar as well.
I see.
That's why
The
Cloud's
slums,
dad
too.
is still alive.
Permission to return. Granted.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too. Hey, what's going on in Modeoheim?
The device Hollander was using has been stolen.
Genesis?
Probably. We'll meet again soon.
For me, Newburn clears. Like,
I'll hold you to that.
in AC, but Oakland, I think, absolutely kills it in CC. I think his
My
voice match is
friend,
better, to be honest.
Your desire
like especially
is
that
the bringer
exchange
of
right
life,
there,
the gift
like
of the
where
goddess.
there's where Sephiroth is still a
Legend
human
shall
being.
speak of sacrifice at world's end.
Has Cloud's dad ever
The
been
wind
mentioned in
sails
canon?
over the water's surface.
So yes, in the Traces of Two Past novels, the Tifa portion, it talks about Tifa's upbringing in Nibelheim, and we find out that Cloud's dad came in like the wind one day, and while Claudia, Cloud's mother, was an innkeeper, he came in and they fell in love, had a baby. He was described as handsome, but that's it. Like, very little was said about him. Handsome like his son, basically. And when Cloud was just old enough to walk, his dad went out into the Nebel Mountains and disappeared. His things were found, but he was presumed dead. Like, the monsters got him. But they made a point of saying that a body wasn't found. Like, Nojima could have literally just said, was killed in the Nebel Mountains. But instead, his possessions were found, but no body was. So that has no narrative value other than to leave a mystery open. So we have no idea who it is. Like, the community has given him the moniker Wind Strife. And by the community, I mean me. And there's like a teeny tiny chance that what's actually happening at the end of teeny tiny chance what's happening at the end of intermission is not that Zack has walked into the church and Aerith is gone because she's off on adventures with Cloud, but because he's walked 30 years into the past and then probably on a search for understanding and trying to fix things. He wanders into Nibelheim, falls in love with Claudia. Okay, pretend I didn't say that, because if that happens, the entire fandom will riot. It's not like out of nowhere that I'm saying this either, too. Like, there's some weird stuff about, like, in the Materials Ultimania, they gave us an origin story of the church. Also, look at that. That's interesting. His sword's just on the ground. He's just, like, on the cannon. The Materials Ultimania describes the church, and like in my head canon, the church in the sector 5/6 slum area, it's technically sector 5 slums, but it's right next to the remnants of wreckage of sector 6. I thought it was like a legacy of like whatever civilization was there before Midgar was built, but it was actually built like as a result of the construction of Midgar. After the Sector 6 plate collapse, which collapsed during construction, they built the church as a place to mourn. And so when you like take that weird piece of information that was injected into the Materials Ultimania for no good reason other than just to like ruin headcanons, with the fact that at the intermission ending, there's all these kids seemingly sad about stuff, it can get the the little theory fuzzies swirling. But no, that's not what's happening. I know. It's just it's weird stuff that they kind of threw together. It's like weird new details that all serendipitously created this vague notion of a potential dumb narrative, but yeah, I can't imagine that going well. I feel like the fandom would riot, Shinra had been searching. Yeah, I like that the 10th anniversary interpretation too. But yeah, maybe the church retains some of the promised land magic. Yeah, and I think there's an idea that underneath the church, that water, which is used in like the great gospel at the end of AC to heal geostigma, like there's an idea there that, it was the promised land of some form, you know. But what we found out too is that so the Traces of Two Paths also like expands more on the Republic of Junon thing, by saying that prior to Shinra's, slow creeping capitalistic takeover, most people were in the Republic of Junon were monotheistic. So they actually believed in a god, a heaven and a hell, and that Shinra actually like wiped that from its own education. And so we have like three kind of religions at play in the history of Midgar. We've got the Cetran religion, which is communal and sort of interlocutional and involves nature, harmony with the planet, harmony with resources. Then we've got like the Republic, and most nations currently, are republics before they become late stage capitalism. There's arguments about whether or not any current nations are in a late stage capital model. I would argue yes, and I would argue that we're in one, but that's, for another time. So, we had the Cetran religion, then we had the Republic, which had some kind of, monotheism akin to what we conceptualize as, Abrahamic, right? A heaven and a hell, single God. And then the East has its own religion. There's Wutai has its own religion, and that gets referenced to the in intermission, or in intermission, when Yuffie tries to open the doors to Seventh Heaven, and then she says his ways are mysterious. She's referring to De Chao, who's like the patron deity of Wutai. So it's interesting stuff. There's a lot of lore. Yeah. What time frame did the Sector 6 plate fall? In the first year of Midgar's construction. So, like about 25 years prior to the events of Remake. So just enough time to start Zack on his hero's journey to Nibelheim, where he slowly loses his memory and his identity and makes his way into Nibelheim, falls in love with an innkeeper, and then as the child reaches 2, he realizes what he must do. He knows that if he doesn't leave, Cloud won't be the hero that he needs to be. Or better yet, he decides to avert a crisis, and he wanders into Nibelheim, into the Nibel Mountains, looking for Genova to try and prevent Sephiroth from being turned, but instead he gets sucked into a future portal. And yeah, man, I don't know. See, like they could like I'm not saying they couldn't do that. That's the thing. They could actually do something bonkers like that. It's just they've already got so many loose ends in the plot, and they all have to serve a purpose. And so the problem with like trying to close the plot loop like this is that you're just adding mechanics, you know. That's what we need, future portals. You were going places with that for a bit. That's so cosmic. Yeah. I felt disingenuous because I don't think that's where the story's going. It's one of those cover my bases things, right? Like I mentioned it as soon as I saw it. As soon as I put those two pieces of lore together, I said I better say this publicly and then I'll turn it into a running joke. And then that way, if it comes true, I can dunk on Max Dude. No. If it's true, I can be like, told you so. And then I would just selectively go through all the places where I said that I was joking and edit that out. Like, that's the move, you know? I would retcon the inconsistencies. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say all the theories and then just be like, told you so. Finally land that elusive Max Dude interview. Yeah, I'm not sure if what it's going to take for that to happen or if that'll ever happen, but I've had some contact with him, so it's not like it's off the table. But I think we'll see Tim Rogers and Mike from Resonant Art and Susie Sphere Hunter before we see Max Dude on SEAL Team 7. Yeah, definitely great guests. Definitely great guests. And we might be doing something similar to what we did with Crisis Core for Forspoken. If I can get a good guest list together. The problem is that a lot of the guests that I've approached about that have just said like, no, I don't want to play that game. Tim Rogers would be hype. He's a busy bee though. Workaholic more like. He's probably the easiest one for me to get. Believe it or not. But I'm just trying to time it right because I want everybody to be caught up. I think he's going to be a Rebirth sort of guy. Like once Rebirth comes out, I'll have him. We'll see. I'll keep an ear out for reviews. Yeah, and I'll let you know too. I'll just like message you. Be like, hey, we were all wrong. The demo was a lie.
I thought I sensed something, but maybe not.
And here's the here's the other weird thing about Stamp. Is that Stamp's first mention was not remake. It was in the farewell speech. It was an Aerith's farewell speech for I think the 30th anniversary. So 5 years ago. And during the farewell poem, which Aerith seems to be addressing towards Zack, but also, or towards Cloud, but also mentioning Zack. And then one of the lines she says is, Stamp, you're gone too. Like, that's the first time we've heard of Stamp. And so back when it came out, we're like, Stamp, do you mean Angeal? Right? Because there's this weird thing here, and you think of a stamp, and there's like this stamped Angeal face on the Angeal monsters. And so I remember when the farewell thing came out, I had no idea what stamp was because remake wasn't out yet. I thought it was a reference to Angeal, and it still might kind of have been. Like, there may be some mechanical connection between Angeal and Stamp. Angeal's also the one that calls Zack the puppy. I don't know. I think at the most literal, and I mean, the thing above his head here does look, it looks canine, right? That looks canine. Is that weird? I know the music is so over the top. And then there's giant holes in the church still. Then here we got the yellow flowers.
An Angeal copy? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be Stamp.
Was it protecting us?
You know?
Yeah, probably.
Oh no. Stamp, you're gone too.
Looks like it's degrading.
Poor thing.
Does this mean...
Yeah, there's a lot of just
Angeal's out there
overall
too?
canine references to the protagonists here. Lapdog, you know. Barrett calls Cloud
It was
Stamp
so...
at one point.
I don't know. Sad.
Then
What
Zack
did
the
you
puppy.
come here to do?
So, a flower wagon. Let's make one.
Yeah, but...
Don't worry.
Stamp's personality based on the song
Stay
and
right where you are.
whatnot is very Zack-like.
I'll
Yeah.
take care of things.
Go all out. Go all out.
So, that flower wagon. Let's do it. Come on, Zack. Come this way.
Yeah. Hey, Aerith. When the wagon's done, will you go above the plate?
Yeah, but I'm still a little scared. So first, I'll fill the slums with flowers.
Oh, come on. When you go above, I'll be with you. Don't be afraid.
Zack, thank you.
Right. Now that that's done, let's get this wagon built. I'll go gather the materials. Aerith, you wait here.
Yep.
Now you behave yourself.
Oh, look, I'm leaving the live stream. ABCO, can I ask you something? I'm trying to log back in, but can you tell me
there's more of you.
my Twitter username,
Well,
Twitter at?
What are you waiting?
Okay. Yes. I can, for some reason. I will. You should be able to log in with your email though. But by the way, the top trending tag on Twitter is Twitter down. But yeah, hold on. I will find. There you go, Peter. Okay. You're welcome. So I'm going to show off some details outside the church, and then I'm going to call it. I just wanted to show off these mods before the end of the year.
Conflict resolved.
There's probably going to be some more mods too. If we get the Advent Children's Cloud mods, I'll be making content with it.
What are these?
A new automated weapon. They detect and attack monsters. Arms development deployed them. They're Midgar's anti-Genesis copy measure. The copies inside Midgar have mostly been eliminated by them.
Impressive. But then why did they attack me? What? They can't tell the difference between me and a monster?
Yeah. Yes,
No, not currently.
How annoying.
They'll fix it eventually.
By the way, Tsung, you're annoying too. You were spying on Aerith, right? What? No comment?
Turks take care of Turk business. If you want to go play with Aerith, you're welcome to do so.
Hey! I'm not playing! I'm fulfilling my duties as soldier to protect—
Hey, mister! I heard you're making a flower wagon. Make it real fancy, so Aerith will be surprised.
Wait! This is for— to protect Aerith! Hey, Tsung!
Let's see. The stuff we're still missing is tools, wood, tires, instructions. First, I think we should get some tools. We might find some on the ground here. Around here, there's some perfectly useful stuff just lying around.
I like the concept of just like wandering around and grabbing junk to make this flower wagon as a fetch quest. It's like, you know, the dumb fetch quest in Remake. Because the DNA is the same. Look at those terrible skyboxes. At least they don't have the disconnected floating lights, but this cross. The cross is different in a lot of the depictions of the church, but this is the most consistent one now. So this is the same as Remake, which is good. You know, we want it to be the same as Remake, but I feel like we will see this symbol, and I feel like we'll see it in Junon. And then also this little annoying detail. So there are 3 holes in the church. Just like there are in Remake. Now granted, they probably didn't expect me to come along and ruin the submersion. But there should not be three holes in the church. Also, this is the same. This was a neat asset grabbed from Remake, because if you recognize this little tower here, this is where you can potentially leave Aerith hanging right here as Cloud. So they took a great care in this one to really use like the Remake variant of the church. It's one of the, like, the actual map is identical to Crisis Core, but outside of the map, like the out of bounds stuff, this map, more than any other map in this entire game, takes more from Remake than it does Reunion, which I found interesting. This hole, by the way, is specifically so that you can leave in Remake. Like, you get out of the church this way, so you can walk along the roof. So I'm the thorn in their side, yeah. Heaven and angel wakes up in church, yeah. Bungaga, being a backwater village, may still practice the old religion. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's a really interesting point. I think that, you know, like Traces of Two Paths says that, like, you know, the older towns that are, you know, have a tendency to be more superstitious. It's really interesting to see how the scale and layout of iconic areas will change with each iteration. Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I think Rebirth's really gonna change how we view a lot of the locations. Because from what little we've seen of Rebirth, and it's very little, don't get me wrong, but like that little bit of Nibelheim we see is so completely different. So yeah, so that's exciting. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, this is kind of a short stream, but I just kind of wanted to show that off, and there's plenty of people playing Crisis Core right now for you to watch. In fact, Very Finny is playing Crisis Core as we speak. So let's go very Finny. Yeah, have a pleasant evening, y'all. And please be nice to Finny. And don't spoil anything for her. This is her first playthrough. And she's getting to a good part. So I would definitely recommend sticking around. Okay. Alright, let's all go over there. And give her a welcome in Texas.